The station slowly returned to normal. The bodies of those killed by the wrack were carried away. The blood was cleaned from the floors. Shop owners reopened their stores, and traders began to bargain again. Life continued, as it always did, even after death. But Yuna could not move on. She sat in her private room, staring at the wall, thinking about what she had seen. Her guards stood outside, confused by her behavior. The ship was ready. They could leave at any time. But the princess refused to go. "Day," she said finally, "bring me everything you can find about humans. Every record, every report, every piece of information in our archives." Day hesitated. "Princess, is this wise? We should leave this place. Your father will be worried. My father can wait. I need to understand." Day bowed and left to follow her orders. An hour later, he returned with a datapad filled with files. Yuna took it and began to read. The information was thin. Humans had only been known to the galaxy for 50 years. They came from a small planet on the edge of the Milky Way, a world they called Earth. They were physically weak compared to most species. They could not see well in the dark. They could not hear high or low sounds. They could not survive in extreme temperatures that, by all measures, they should have been a minor species, barely worth noticing. And yet, something in the reports made Yuna pause. Humans were persistent. They never gave up. They could run for hours without stopping, chasing prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. They could survive injuries that would kill other species. They could live in almost any environment, from frozen mountains to burning deserts. And they were creative. They built tools and weapons out of anything they could find. They worked together in groups, hunting creatures much larger and stronger than themselves. They had climbed to the top of their planet's food chain, not through strength, but through intelligence and determination. But there was something else in the reports. Something darker. Humans were violent. They had fought wars among themselves for their entire history. They had killed each other by the millions. They had built weapons capable of destroying their own world. Even now, with access to the stars, they continued to fight and kill, unable to escape their own nature. Yuna set down the datapad. The pieces were starting to come together in her mind, but she still did not have the full picture. She needed to hear it from the source. She stood up and walked out of her room, ignoring her guards' protests. She made her way through the station, past the market, past the nervous aliens who watched her pass. She stopped in front of the repair shop. Tay was inside, working on the same machine as before. He did not look up when she entered. "I thought you would come," he said quietly. Yuna stepped into the shop and stood in front of him. "I have questions. I know. Then answer them." Tay set down his tools and looked up at her. His dark eyes were calm and patient, showing no anger or frustration. "What do you want to know?" "Everything," Yuna said. "I want to know how you made the wreck run. I want to know what they saw when they looked at you. I want to know why the most dangerous predators in the galaxy were afraid of a mechanic." Tay was quiet for a moment. Then he gestured to a chair in the corner of the shop. "Sit, this may take some time." Yuna hesitated, then sat. She was a princess, and it was strange to take orders from a human apprentice. But her desire for answers was stronger than her pride. Tay leaned back against his workbench and crossed his arms. "Do you know what a persistence predator is, princess?" Yuna shook her head. "It is a type of hunter that does not rely on speed or strength. Instead, it relies on endurance. It chases its prey for hours, sometimes days, never stopping, never resting. The prey runs faster at first, but eventually it gets tired. It slows down. It collapses. And then the hunter catches it." "That sounds inefficient," Yuna said. "It is. But it is also terrifying." Tay's eyes grew distant, like he was remembering something from long ago. Imagine being hunted by something that never stops. No matter how fast you run, it keeps coming. No matter where you hide, it finds you. It does not roar or threaten. It just follows, patient and steady, until you have nothing left. Yuna felt a chill run down her spine. Humans evolved as persistent predators. Tay continued. We learned to read tracks, to follow trails, to chase our prey across entire continents. We learned to work together, to communicate, to plan. And we learned to use our greatest weapon, our minds. The Vrak have minds too, Yuna said. They are intelligent. Yes, but intelligence is not the same as this. Tay tapped his forehead. Our brains are different. We can imagine the future. We can plan for things that have not happened yet. We can hold grudges for years, decades, generations. When a human decides to hunt something, they do not stop until they succeed or die. He stood up and walked toward Yuna, stopping just a few feet away. The Vrak are ambush predators. They attack fast and hard, using surprise and overwhelming force. But when they face something that does not run, something that just stands there and looks back at them, their instincts become confused. They do not know how to handle prey that acts like a predator. But you are not a predator, Yuna said. You are just one human. You have no weapons, no army. Tay smiled, that same sad smile from before. I am never just one human, princess. When you look at me, you see a single person. But when a predator looks at me, they see something else. They see the shadows of all the humans who came before me. All the hunters, all the warriors, all the killers. They see the species that conquered a world. That wiped out thousands of other creatures. That turned the deadliest animals into pets and food. He leaned closer, and his voice dropped to a whisper. They see the species that hunted everything, even itself. And they know, deep in their bones, that they do not want to be next. Yuna sat in silence, processing his words. It was terrifying and fascinating at the same time. She had spent her whole life believing that humans were a weak, unimportant species. But now she saw the truth. They were not weak. They were just quiet. They did not need to roar or threaten because they had something far more dangerous. Patience. The Vrak will not return? She asked finally. No, they will go find easier prey, somewhere far from here. And they will not speak of what happened today. Their pride will not allow it. Yuna nodded slowly. She stood up and looked at Tay, seeing him with new eyes. He was still small and soft, still covered in grease and wearing dirty clothes. But now she understood what lived behind those calm, dark eyes. Thank you, she said, for saving this station, for saving me. Tay shrugged. I did not do it for you, princess. I did it because it was the right thing to do. Yuna turned to leave, then stopped at the door. If you ever tire of being a mechanic, there may be a place for you in my father's court. The Valari Empire could use someone like you. Tay laughed softly. It was the first real emotion she had seen from him. I appreciate the offer, princess, but I prefer to stay here. I like fixing things. Yuna smiled. Then perhaps our paths will cross again someday. Perhaps. She walked out of the shop and back to her shuttle, her guards hurrying to keep up. As her ship lifted off and flew away from Station 12, she looked out the window at the small dot of light growing, smaller in the distance. She thought about the quiet human in the repair shop. She thought about what he had taught her about his species. And she thought about how wrong the galaxy had been about the creatures from Earth. Humans were not prey. They were not weak. They were something far more dangerous. They were the things that hunted in the dark, the creatures that other creatures learned to fear, and the galaxy was only just beginning to learn that lesson. The market was silent. Not even a whisper broke the stillness. Every creature watched with wide eyes, as the impossible continued to unfold before them. The wrack leader was shaking. His massive gray body, covered in scars from 100 battles, was trembling like a leaf in the wind. His 6 black eyes had not left Tay's face, and with each passing second, the fear in them grew stronger. His hunting pack stood behind him, just as frozen. They were killers, every one of them. They had hunted across a dozen worlds. They had never retreated from anything in their lives. But now they stood there, claws raised but unused, teeth bared but silent. One of the younger wrack made a small whimpering sound. It was a sound of submission, the kind of noise a prey animal makes when it knows it cannot escape. The other wrack turned to look at him, and Yuna could see the shame and confusion in their eyes. They did not understand what was happening. They did not understand why their bodies would not obey their commands. But Tay understood. He took another step forward, and the entire hunting pack took a step back. It was like watching a dance, except one partner did not know the steps and was stumbling in fear. "You feel it, don't you?" Tay said. His voice was calm, almost gentle. "That little voice in the back of your head. The one telling you to run. The one that says this is wrong, that something is dangerous here." The wrack leader snarled, trying to show strength. "I am not afraid of you, human. You are small. You are weak. I could tear you apart with one claw. Then do it." The words hung in the air like a challenge. Tay stood there, his arms at his sides, completely open and undefended. He was offering himself as a target, daring the wrack to attack. But the wrack did not move. His arm twitched. His claws flexed. Every muscle in his body tensed, ready to strike. But the blow never came. He could not make himself attack. Something deep inside him, something older than thought, was screaming at him to stay away. "You cannot do it," Tay said, "because your instincts will not let you. They know what I am. They know what we are. Your ancestors met creatures like us before, a long time ago. The ones who attacked died. The ones who ran survived. And that memory lives in your blood, even now." The wrack leader let out a roar of frustration. It was a terrible sound, loud enough to shake the walls of the station. But even as he roared, he was stepping backward, putting more distance between himself and the human. "This is not over," the wrack said. "We will return with more hunters. We will burn this station to ash. We will find you and tear you apart piece by piece." Tay shook his head slowly. "No, you will not return. And you will not speak of what happened here today. Because if other wrack learn that your pack retreated from a single human, they will kill you themselves. That is your way, is it not? The weak are killed. The afraid are eaten." The wrack leader's eyes went wide. The human was right. If word spread that he had backed down from prey, his own people would destroy him. His entire pack would be shamed and slaughtered. "Leave this station," Tay said. "Take your pack and go. Do not come back. Do not hurt anyone else here. This is your one chance." The silence stretched on for what felt like hours. The wrack leader stood there, his body tense, his mind fighting against his instincts. He wanted to attack. He wanted to prove that he was not afraid. But he could not. His body would not obey. Finally, he turned away. "We go," he said to his pack. His voice was rough with shame. Now, the other wrack did not argue. They followed their leader without question, moving quickly toward the docking bay. Their movements were fast and nervous, like animals fleeing a forest fire. They did not look back. They did not stop to grab the supplies they had demanded. They just ran. Within minutes, the sound of their ship's engines echoed through the station. The entire structure shook as the wrack vessel undocked and flew away, disappearing into the darkness of space dawn, and then it was over. The aliens in the market stood in shock, unable to process what they had just witnessed. The Vrak, the most feared predators in the galaxy, had retreated. They had run away from a single human, a small, soft creature with no weapons and no armor. Whispers began to spread through the crowd. Some aliens were crying. Some were laughing with relief. Others were staring at Tay with a mix of fear and wonder. Una stepped out from behind her pillar, her legs shaking. She walked toward the center of the market, where Tay was still standing. Her guards followed close behind, their hands on their weapons, unsure of what to do. How? Una asked. Her voice was barely above a whisper. How did you do that? Tay turned to look at her. His face was calm, showing no sign of the danger that had just passed. His dark eyes were the same as before, quiet and deep, like pools of still water. I did nothing, he said. I only showed them what they did not want to see. But they were afraid of you. The Vrak do not fear anything. They are killers, monsters. Tay smiled. It was a small, sad smile that did not reach his eyes. Every monster is afraid of something, Princess. Every predator knows that there is always something higher on the food chain. The Vrak forgot that lesson. A Vrak forgot that lesson. Today, they remembered. Una shook her head. This does not make sense. You are human. Your species is weak. You have no armies, no power. How can the Vrak fear you? Tay looked at her for a long moment. Then he turned and began walking back toward the repair shop, leaving the princess standing in the middle of the market with more questions than answers. Wait, Una called after him. I am not finished speaking to you. Tay stopped but did not turn around. I have work to do, Princess. Ships do not fix themselves. And with that, he walked into the shop and disappeared behind a pile of broken machinery. Una stood there, her mind racing. She had seen something today that she could not explain. Something that went against everything she had learned about the galaxy and its species. She had seen the impossible, and she knew, deep in her heart, that she would not rest until she understood it. The silence in the market was complete. Every alien had stopped moving, stopped breathing, stopped thinking. They were all watching the impossible scene in front of them. The Vrak leader stood at the entrance of the repair shop, his massive body blocking the light. He was a killer, a monster, a creature that had destroyed worlds. His claws had torn apart thousands of victims. His teeth had crushed bones and flesh without mercy. But now, he was not moving. He was just standing there, staring at the small human sitting on the floor. Tay looked back at him with calm, steady eyes. He did not blink. He did not look away. He just sat there, meeting the Vrak's gaze like it was the most normal thing in the world. The Vrak leader's lips pulled back, showing his rows of teeth. It was supposed to be a threat display, a warning. But his body told a different story. His muscles were tight. His claws were half raised, not to attack, but to defend. His 6 black eyes had changed somehow, showing something that Una had never seen in a predator before: uncertainty. What are you? The Vrak growled. His voice was still rough, still dangerous, but there was something else in it now. Something that sounded almost like caution. Tay slowly stood up. He was so small compared to the Vrak, barely reaching the creature's chest. His body was soft, covered in thin skin that offered no protection. He had no claws, no teeth, no armor. By every measure, he should have been nothing more than easy prey. But he did not act like prey. He stepped forward, and the Vrak leader stepped back. The movement was small, just a few inches. But everyone in the market saw it. The greatest predator in the galaxy had just retreated from a human apprentice. I asked you a question, the Vrak said. His voice was louder now, trying to recover his authority. What are you? Tay tilted his head slightly. When he spoke, his voice was quiet and calm. I am a mechanic. I fix things. You lie. The The wrack took another step back. His hunting partners were starting to shift nervously, their eyes darting between Tay and their leader. No prey animal looks at me like that. No weak creature holds my gaze without fear. Tay did not respond. He just kept looking at the wrack with those dark, steady eyes. Yuna watched from behind her pillar, her heart pounding. She did not understand what she was seeing. The human had done nothing. He had not attacked. He had not threatened. He had not even raised his voice. But somehow, the wrack were reacting like he was the most dangerous thing in the room. Then she noticed something. Something small but important. The wrack leader was not looking at Tay's body. He was not measuring his muscles or his speed. He was looking at his eyes. Deep into his eyes, like he was searching for something. And whatever he found there, it scared him. In the galaxy, there were two types of creatures. There were prey animals, which evolved to run and hide. And there were predators, which evolved to chase and kill. Every species in the galaxy fell into one of these categories. Their bodies, their minds, their instincts were all shaped by millions of years of evolution. Predators could recognize prey. It was built into their brains, a deep instinct that told them what was food and what was dangerous. When a predator looked at a prey animal, they saw weakness, fear, the desire to escape. But when a predator looked at another predator, they saw something else. They saw the same hunger, the same focus, the same willingness to fight and kill. They recognized each other, predator to predator, killer to killer. The wrack leader was looking at Tay, searching for the signs of a prey animal. But he was not finding them. Instead, he was finding something else. Something that his instincts were screaming at him to avoid. "You are wrong about humans," Tay said quietly. He took another step forward, and the wrack took another step back. "You think we are weak because we are soft. You think we are prey because we do not have claws or fangs. But you do not understand where we come from." The wrack's throat made a low, warning rumble. But he did not attack. He could not attack. Something in his brain, something ancient and primal, was telling him to stay away. "Our world was not easy," Tay continued. His voice was still calm, still soft, like he was talking about the weather. "We did not have armor, so we learned to make weapons. We did not have claws, so we learned to use tools. We could not run fast, so we learned to run far. We would chase our prey for days, never stopping, never resting, until they collapsed from exhaustion." The other wrack were backing away now, forming a defensive group behind their leader. Their claws were up, their teeth were bared, but none of them would move forward. None of them would attack. "We hunted everything on our world," Tay said. "The big animals and the small ones. The fast ones and the strong ones. We hunted them until they were gone, until we were the only ones left. And then we started hunting each other." He stopped walking. He was now standing in the middle of the market, surrounded by terrified aliens and frozen wrack. The light from above cast strange shadows across his face, making his eyes look even darker, even deeper. "We do not fear predators," Tay said, "because we are predators. We are the thing that hunts. We are the reason other creatures learn to be afraid of the dark." The wrack leader's chest was rising and falling rapidly. His 6 eyes were wide, and his body was trembling with a mix of rage and fear. Every instinct in his brain was sending him conflicting signals: attack, retreat, fight, flee. But underneath all of those signals was one clear message written in the deepest part of his predator mind. A message that had been carved by millions of years of evolution. A warning passed down from ancestors who had faced something like this before. "Do not hunt this one. This one hunts back. You come to this station," Tay said. "You kill innocent creatures. You take what you want because you think you are the strongest. But you have made a mistake." He paused, and when he spoke again, His voice was barely above a whisper. You forgot that there are older predators in this galaxy. Quieter ones. Ones who do not need to roar and threaten to be dangerous. The Vrak leader let out a sound that was half growl, half whimper. It was a sound that Yuna had never heard from a Vrak before. A sound of doubt. A sound of fear. And in that moment, everything changed. Yuna spent the next 2 hours in a private room at the station's only decent restaurant. The food was terrible, but at least the room was clean. Her guards stood outside the door while she waited for her ship to be refueled. She was reading reports from home. When she heard the first scream, it was a high, sharp sound that cut through the noise of the station like a knife. Then came another scream and another. Soon, the whole market area was filled with the sounds of panic. They burst through the door, his weapon drawn. "Princess, we need to move. Now, what is happening?" Yuna asked, standing up quickly. "Vrak," they said. His face was pale. A hunting pack just docked at the station. Yuna felt her blood turn cold. She had never seen a Vrak in person, but she knew their reputation. Everyone in the galaxy knew about the Vrak. They were predators. Not just hunters, but something far worse. They came from a death world, a planet where every creature was designed to kill. The Vrak were the survivors. The ones who had climbed to the top of the food chain by being the most brutal, the most savage, the most terrifying things their world had ever produced. They stood 8 feet tall, with gray skin as hard as armor. Their heads were long and narrow, filled with rows of sharp teeth. They had 4 arms, each one ending in claws that could cut through metal. But the worst thing about them was their eyes. They had 6 eyes, all black, all cold, all filled with a hunger that never went away. The Vrak did not trade. They did not negotiate. They took what they wanted, and they killed anyone who tried to stop them. Entire colonies had been destroyed by Vrak hunting packs. Armies had fallen before them. Even the most powerful empires in the galaxy paid them tribute rather than risk their anger. "How many?" Yuna asked, trying to keep her voice steady. 6, they replied. A full hunting pack. They have already killed the station guards at the main dock. Yuna's hands were shaking. 6 Vrak could slaughter everyone on this station in less than an hour. And there was nothing anyone could do to stop them. "We need to get to my shuttle," she said. "We need to leave before they find us." Day shook his head. "It is too late, Princess. They have blocked all the exits. No ships can leave until they are done." "Done with what?" "Hunting," Day said quietly. "They are here to hunt." They moved through the back corridors of the station, trying to avoid the main areas. Yuna could hear screams and crashes in the distance. She could smell blood in the air. The Vrak were already killing. They turned a corner and found themselves in the market area. It was chaos. Aliens were running in every direction, pushing and trampling each other in their panic. Shop owners were hiding behind their counters. Children were crying. The strong were climbing over the weak, trying to escape. And there, in the middle of it all, stood the Vrak. They were even more terrifying than Yuna had imagined. They moved slowly, calmly, like they had all the time in the world. Their claws were already red with blood. Their black eyes scanned the crowd, looking for their next target. The leader was the largest, nearly 9 feet tall. He had scars covering his face and body, marks from 100 battles he had won. He opened his mouth and let out a low, rumbling sound. It was not a roar. It was worse than a roar. It was a sound that spoke directly to something deep and primitive in the brain, something that made every creature in the market freeze in pure terror. "No one leaves," the leader said. His voice was deep and rough, like stones grinding together. "We are here for tribute, food, supplies, females for breeding. You will give us what we want, or we will take it from your bodies." No one spoke. No one moved. The fear was so thick in the air that Yuna could taste it. They pulled her behind a pillar, out of sight. "We wait," he whispered. "We stay hidden until they take what they want and leave. That is our only chance." Yuna nodded, but her eyes were fixed on the wrack. She watched them move through the crowd, grabbing aliens at random, inspecting them like animals at a market. Some they threw aside. Others they dragged toward their ship, ignoring the screams and cries for help. Then she saw something that made her heart stop. The wrack leader was walking toward the repair shop, the small, messy shop where the human worked. The door was still open, and inside, Yuna could see Tay still sitting on the floor, still working on his machine. He had not run. He had not hidden. He was just sitting there, like nothing was happening. "The fool," Yuna whispered. "Does he not see them? Does he not understand?" Tay looked where she was looking and shook his head. "He is dead. The wrack will kill him in seconds." The wrack leader reached the shop and stopped. He looked inside, his 6 black eyes focusing on the small human sitting on the floor. A low, hungry sound came from his throat. "Human," the wrack said. "I have never tasted human meat. I hear it is soft, sweet." Tay did not look up. He continued working on his machine, his fingers moving slowly and carefully over the wires and circuits. "Look at me when I speak to you, pray," the wrack growled. Tay stopped working. He put down his tools and slowly raised his head. His dark eyes met the wrack's black ones, and then something strange happened. The wrack leader stopped moving. His body went completely still, like someone had pressed a pause button. His hunting partners noticed and turned to look. They too became stilled out. No one in the market understood what was happening. The wrack were not attacking. They were not moving. They were just standing there, staring at the human with an expression that looked almost like confusion. No, Yuna realized. Not confusion. Fear. The most terrifying predators in the galaxy were looking at a small, weak, ordinary human apprentice. And they were afraid. Yuna did not understand. She could not understand. But deep in her heart, she felt something change. She felt the first tiny crack in everything she thought she knew about the galaxy. Something was very wrong here. Or maybe something was very right. She was about to find out. The space station floated in the darkness between 2 dying stars. It was old, dirty, and filled with creatures from 100 different worlds. This was Station 12, a place where traders came to buy and sell, where criminals hid from the law, and where secrets were kept in shadows. Princess Yuna stepped off her royal shuttle and immediately covered her nose. The air smelled like engine oil and strange food. Her silver robes dragged across the metal floor, collecting dust with every step. 2 guards walked behind her, their weapons ready, their eyes scanning the crowd. Yuna was not happy to be here. She was the 3rd daughter of Emperor Kang, ruler of the Velari Empire. Her people were tall and beautiful, with pale blue skin and eyes that glowed like small moons. They were known across the galaxy as diplomats and scholars. They did not fight wars. They did not need to. Other species fought their wars for them. "This place is disgusting," Yuna said to her guard captain, a large male named Day. "Why must we stop here?" "The ship needs fuel, princess," Day replied. His voice was calm and patient. He had served the royal family for 30 years. "And we need fresh water for the journey home. It will only be a few hours." Yuna sighed and walked forward. The market area was crowded with aliens of all shapes and sizes. Some had scales. Some had fur. Some had too many eyes or too many legs. She had seen many species in her life, but she had never been in a place so common. As she walked, she noticed the other aliens watching her. Some looked at her with respect. The Velari Empire was powerful, and her family was known throughout the galaxy. But others looked at her with hunger in their eyes. Her jewelry alone was worth more than most of these creatures would earn in their lifetimes. They noticed the looks too. He moved closer to the princess, his hand resting on his weapon. "Stay close, princess," he said quietly. "This is not a safe place." They passed a repair shop near the edge of the market. The shop was small and messy, with broken ship parts scattered on tables and hanging from the ceiling. An old alien with 4 arms was shouting at someone inside. "Tay, where's the power converter? I told you to fix it yesterday." "I'm working on it," a voice replied from inside the shop. Yuna stopped walking. The voice was strange. It was soft and calm, not like the rough voices of the other workers on the station. She looked into the shop and saw a young male sitting on the floor, surrounded by tools and wires. He was working on a small machine, his fingers moving quickly and carefully. He was human. Yuna had heard of humans before, but she had never seen one this close. Humans were a young species, only recently discovered by the galactic community. They came from a small planet called Earth, somewhere on the outer edge of the galaxy. They had no special abilities. They were not very strong. They were not very fast. They could not breathe in water or survive in extreme heat. By galactic standards, they were weak and unremarkable. The human looked up and saw her staring. He had dark hair and dark eyes, and his face showed no expression. He was wearing dirty work clothes, and his hands were covered in grease. He looked at the princess for a moment, then returned to his work without saying a word. Yuna felt a flash of anger. Did this creature not know who she was? She was royalty. Even the lowest workers on her homeworld would bow in her presence. But this human just looked at her like she was nothing special. "Interesting," she said today. "A human. I have read about them in our archives. They are supposed to be quite ordinary." Day looked at the human and shrugged. "They are new to space travel, princess. Most of them work as laborers or servants. They have no military power and no political influence. They are not important." Yuna nodded, but she continued to watch the human work. There was something about him that caught her attention. He moved with a strange kind of focus, like nothing else in the world mattered except the machine in his hands. His breathing was slow and steady. His heartbeat, which she could hear with her enhanced Volari senses, was calm and regular. Most creatures became nervous around royalty. Their hearts beat faster. Their bodies produced stress chemicals. But this human showed no reaction at all. It was like he did not care that a princess was standing 5 feet away from him. The old 4-armed alien came out of the back room and saw Yuna. His eyes went wide, and he immediately dropped to his knees. "Princess, forgive me. I did not know you were here. Please, how can I serve you?" Yuna waved her hand. "Rise, I am only passing through. I need nothing from you." The alien stood up, his body still shaking with fear and excitement. "Of course, princess. Of course. If you need anything at all, please ask. I am honored by your presence." Yuna looked at the human again. He had not moved. He had not looked up. He was still working on his machine like nothing had happened. "Your worker," Yuna said. "The human. What is his name?" The alien glanced back at Tay. "Him? That is Tay. He's my apprentice. He fixes things. He is quiet, but he does good work." "He did not bow to me," Yuna said. Her voice was cold. The alien's face went pale. "I am so sorry, princess. He is new to our customs. Humans do not understand proper respect. Please, let me punish him for you." Yuna held up her hand. "No, it does not matter. He is just a human. They do not know any better." She turned and walked away, her guards following close behind. But as she left, she could not help looking back one more time. The human named Tay was still sitting on the floor, still working, still showing no interest in the world around him. Strange creature, Yuna thought. So plain, so boring, so completely unremarkable. She did not know how wrong she was. She did not know what lived behind those calm, dark eyes. She did not know that the galaxy's most feared predators would soon teach her the truth about humans. But she would learn. Very soon, she would learn.